What is a genius zone, and why should engineers care about identifying them and digging into their genius zones? In this video, we're going to be talking about this and how you can utilize the power of genius zones in your life. Let's jump into it. Okay, so genius zones are something that if you can understand and harness, it can be hugely powerful in your life and career. And one of my favorite books on the topic is written by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap, and I highly recommend you go check out the book. But in the book, he actually describes 4 different zones leading up to the genius zone that we can find ourselves in. So zone number 1 is the zone of incompetence. When we're doing something in this zone, we are engaging in something that we're simply not good at. And so this is obviously a place that we don't want to be in very much. Zone number 2 is a zone of competence. And this is where we can find ourselves a lot. Something that we're pretty good at. We're okay. We can take care of these things. But we never really are separated or that much better than the next person. Zone 3 is the zone of excellence. And this is a good zone to be in for the most part. We're doing something we're very good at, right, compared to most other people. And this is what most people would call a strength, right? And this is a good place. But the 4th zone, and what we really want to dive into even more, is the zone of genius. When we're in our genius zones, we're in what the author Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi would call flow. We're taking advantage of our natural talents and doing what we earnestly enjoy. It can almost be kind of an unfair advantage when we're in this space. An alternate definition of genius zone, the author Laura Garnett suggests a simple equation. Your innate talent plus your greatest passion is where you find your zone of genius. So whether or not we've identified our genius zones, we all have them. We just need to work to recognize them and then also find ways to utilize them in our life and our careers. Because we're constantly expanding the things that we can do and our competencies and our excellences and those areas and those zones, and then those turn into our zones of genius. Now, ideally, why this matters, we would love to spend as much time as possible in our genius zones. But sadly, many of us rarely, if ever, create the opportunity to make that happen. First of all, because we haven't identified them. Second of all, even if we have, we don't put ourselves in positions where we can utilize them or communicate with our leaders or find jobs that can utilize those genius zones. This is an easy trap to fall into, but not one that you will want to do. Because you have plenty of other skills and areas where you can be competent or even great or excellent. But if we're not in our genius zones, we're not doing our very best work. And so for me personally, as an example, I was pretty good. I had natural tendencies toward math, science. I got pretty good engineering and grades, and I could do all the analysis and stuff. And I was definitely competent, probably excellent in a lot of that work. But I noticed that where I really got into the flow and what I really loved and enjoyed and what I could be really good at was when I had opportunities to teach and train others. I wasn't only good at it, but I loved it so much that I hardly noticed time passing when I got in that space. And that's kind of that feeling of flow. After realizing that, I combined that with my interest in engineering and wide engineering experiences that I've had. And now I do coaching and training for engineers. And that combination has become a true genius zone for me. And I continue to build upon it and live in that as much as possible. So what are your genius zones? Would you like to identify them and live in them even more? I hope so. And so spend some time considering what are your genius zones? What are those times and situations that you find yourself in flow and doing your very best work? And then look for ways that you can do more of that work in your life and career. My name is Jeff Perry. I'm a leadership and career development expert, and I love helping people identify their genius zones and unlock their potential in doing so. I'm the author of The Intentional Engineer, and I'd love to help you be more intentional in your life and your career. Please reach out. Let's connect, and I hope to hear from you soon.